sensational.
Welcome and welcome back to Par for the Course. This year marks the 65th anniversary since Ben Hogan's 5 Lessons, The Modern Fundamentals of Golf was released in 1957. I picked up this book 10 years ago. I had just started playing golf and really I was struggling with the massive slice. So, on the recommendation of someone, I went and picked up this book. To my own folly, I got through the first chapter. And honestly, the first chapter, which is the grip, fixed the problem that I had at the moment. Unfortunately, I never returned to this book, and that was a mistake. So on this 65th anniversary of this book being released, I wanted to reintroduce myself to it, read through it again. I wanted to see how it would affect my game for the 2022 golf season, as well as see if this book is still relevant in this year, 65 years after its original release. Stick with me. What are the 5 lessons of golf? Well, number one, there's the grip. Number two, we have posture and stance. Number three, we have the first part of the swing, which is the backswing. For the second part of the swing, which is the downswing. And then number five for Mr. Hogan was putting it all together and summarizing these actions and how they come together. So really simple tools for us to go through, learn, and adapt to. In addition to the 5 lessons, there were 3 elements that Ben Hogan said absolutely had to be in place to make this swing work, and that's the waggle, which was very intentional in terms of getting in the rhythm of the backswing. The second part was a hip turn, and the last part of the essentials was an on plane backswing. Those things started the swing, and if those things were wrong, there was no way that you could get to the downswing in a position to impact the ball with any force and or accuracy. Mr. Hogan believed that any man of average athletic ability could put in place these 5 lessons and learn to break 90, 80, and even into the 70s and break par if you worked hard enough and put in the hours. And I think that is true. I alluded to when I first picked up the book, I only went through the first chapter to fix my grip. And as I reread this book here to start the year and focus in on my golf game as we're still in the off season here in Texas, I really thought about how had I applied these items back in the day, how I'd be in a much better place with my golf game and found consistency a lot earlier. And the truth is, I have figured things out along the way, but I truly went the long way around it versus finding some fundamental path and sticking with it. Often I found myself making these major adjustments in my game and maybe changing more than one thing at a time when I would feel off. And in the Hogan book, he really emphasizes building up the swing, and if something fell apart, going back in the sequence and fixing one thing at a time and making sure that you are back to your fundamentals of the golf swing. Again, I've mentioned that there are certain adjustments that I've made to make the modern swing more applicable to this, particularly as it relates to the stance part of it. Ben Hogan emphasizes if you're a righty, a straight back right foot, and then a 45-degree angle on your lead foot, which is your left foot, pointing out a little bit towards the target to allow for some restriction in the backswing and a full release in the downswing. However, I found for me personally that opening up my back foot to allow for a little more hip turn works for me. And that's just due to some back issues that I've had over the years. And so, again, while these things are still applicable to today's game, there might be some adjustments that you might make for your individual game. And he even speaks to that in the book as well. And so, yeah, even on the grip, I've made some adjustments. I'm probably a little bit stronger than he describes. And maybe that's because if you research Ben Hogan enough, you realize that he had a terrible hooking problem with his swing at one point in his career, where it even caused him to stop playing for a bit until he was able to figure that part out, and then came back with more of a fade swing. And so, again, these adjustments that each individual makes for their body type or for their swing mechanics absolutely come into play. But overall, these fundamentals of the game continue to hold up. So I encourage anyone that wants to rebuild their swing or start from a fresh spot. I don't think you have to tear down your swing completely to apply these lessons, but I do recommend going through the entire book, following the lesson plan, getting 10 to 15 minutes to work on these over a week's time frame, which is what's recommended in the book, and putting them into play. I know that this is something that I'm going to focus on this year, and going back to this again and again and seeing what the net results are. So that's something that I will absolutely be tracking throughout the year, and hope to update in future videos how this is working. I have a link to the book in the description of this video. Go pick it up on Amazon. The Kindle version is like $5. The actual paperback version is a little bit less than $10. You should absolutely go get it and see what it's about. I don't think you can go wrong in learning these key lessons and fundamentals for your golf game. To this day, Ben Hogan's swing is still one of the most beautiful swings out there. And I honestly believe that if he was out on the PGA Tour today, he would be an elite player. Or if he wasn't a player, he'd be an elite coach. The ideas that he puts forth in this book absolutely still do hold up in this year of 2022. I think he was ahead of his time and figured out a way to crystallize the thoughts that he was able to visualize. And honestly, when you look at some of the concepts in the book, there are compatible tools and just things that we utilize in today's game that he had the visuals to, again, translate over to an artist and put in this book. Again, well ahead of his time, things that we're still utilizing today. And I don't know if that's just because golf isn't evolving. And yes, there are things that get tweaked from this book and that are more modern. But overall, when you talk about the fundamentals of golf, this book absolutely still holds its weight. It is very much like when you're learning to play a sport like basketball and you're learning how to pass, which he references in the book as well, or how to dribble with each hand, or the fundamentals of shooting. Those things, whether you're in 1935 or whether you're in 2000s, they remain the same. If you've read the 5 lessons, get down in the comments section. Tell me if I'm crazy, if this book does not hold up today in your view, or if you think it does. Also, let me know if you have any other golf books that you recommend that you've read that have impacted your life in this way or had a major impact on your game. I'd love to hear about them and read them. I am dedicating this season to this mindset, this book, to see if it pays dividends in the way that Ben Hogan said that they should, which is just an average golfer out here trying to break 80 on a regular basis. So we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for joining.